Good morning, Facebook. Fire Lotus here for another morning live, which is chat. I'm Fire Lotus for the people that do not know. I do these Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Starting from anywhere from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, do these Monday through Friday. Now, that's out of the way. I will be going over the weekly or daily oracle card that we've been breaking down from the Halloween oracle deck. There's also an app that if you do have the deck and you've lost the book for any reason, there is an app in the App Store that you can purchase. By the way, anything that I state in this video or any shout outs that I give, I'm not sponsored in any way, shape, or form. I just love spreading the word about stuff that I use. So yeah. With that being stated, I just want to give a shout out to anyone here on Facebook or Etsy and or Instagram. You should totally check out 3 Sleepy Eyes Apothecary. This is what I use. It's one of her products. It is Sage Vibrational Full Moon, or Charged by the Full Moon, and it's Sage Vibrational Spray. For the people who don't like burning sage or just can't burn sage, this is a great alternative. It smells amazing. I would throw that out there. It literally smells like you walked into like a fairy garden in the middle of the woods. And it does the trick. As soon as I spray it, my entire craft room that I do these videos in, and all through my house, like, you notice an instant change. And I use this every single day that I do these lives. I do it before and I do it after. Now, with that being stated, for anybody who checks in or tunes in that's new to this, I am Fire Lotus. I'm a spiritual clairvoyant witch. I do not follow any strict path at all. These videos or these lives that I do, they are to educate. Also, they're to show just the normal people and normal world that, you know, practicing magic, you don't have to have the aesthetics to it. You know, you don't even have to really stray from your path or your religion or your spirituality. We do magic on a regular day basis. Some of our daily routines that we do on a regular day basis, they're technically magic, or the core reason behind them has a magical purpose. Now, with that being stated, and I believe I've actually went over this before in a live. This episode will be on curses. Everything to do with curses. But, I did want to state again to anybody who does see this, please, if you want to do the tarot card reading, or if you want to do the tarot deck and break that down, after we finish the Halloween Oracle deck, which we are very close to finishing, if y'all decided that, the first poll that I had up on this page, the last time I checked it was primarily everybody was, I think it was like 68% tarot card, or the tarot deck. Now, if we do the tarot deck, because I remember to bring stuff this time, if we do the tarot deck, not only will we be breaking it down from start to finish, starting with the major arcana and then the minor arcana, we will also, and I will also be using these. Make sure I view this right. There we go. These both go over the major and the minor arcana. It breaks it down. There's more on the back on both of these, and then I also have more cardlets. These are from the Llewellyn's Mind, Body, and Spirit. I don't know if they're still doing it anymore, but it was one of the first subscription boxes I've ever heard of. And I did it at one point, so I have more than this. I actually have, non-organizedly, like, I have way more. So, I will definitely start using these. But, if we decide to do the deck, the tarot deck, I will be breaking them down, and I will start that in January. So, even if we do finish the Halloween deck before then, I'll figure out something to do. But, if we're going to do this, since there are like 78 cards in a deck, don't quote me on that exact number, but there are about 70 cards. So that's going to be a very good portion. So I'm going to actually wait if we do that, or decide to do that, and do it in January, new year, fresh new start, all of that. With that being stated, if you hear the term, or if you hear me using the term sprout in this video, that is the word that I call people that are new to the craft. I don't like using baby witch. I don't like using newbie or anything like that. So sprout. More information on that and the beliefs behind that, of my own personal spiritual beliefs behind the word that I use, sprout, that I recently, not recently, but I've kind of put some stuff together. So yeah, that's going to be exciting. Also, if you are new, then I also wanted to let everybody know that I will be doing the interviews that I've been talking about since October. I've decided that I'm going to wait until next year. I'm going to start them in January, and I'm going to get up with all the people that I have talked to already. And these interviews, one of them will be actually the operator and owner and creator. I call her an herbal alchemist, but the owner of 3 Sleepy Eyes Apothecary. I've been talking to her about possibly doing an interview. I have a friend in the UK who practices traditional European. Is it European? Basically traditional witchcraft. I believe it's traditional with mixed with Celtic, I believe, but bringing him on. And then I have like 2 to 3 other people that I'm in the process of talking to about bringing them on during live, and some of these will actually possibly be in person. Others will be, I'll basically bring them in on this live. So, with that being stated, I also post all of my lives that I do to my YouTube page, Fire Lotus the Witch, as well. Normally within 8 to 12 hours of me doing these, they're up on my YouTube channel. All the ones that I've been doing actually currently on there, plus way more videos. So yeah, let's see, I got that out of the way, oh yeah, by the way, again, I always shout this out, and I don't think I have this week. The holidays, I'm still getting back into my own groove. There's also, for everybody who either A, already follows astrology, or B, wants to learn astrology, but is kind of intimidated by it, because, hey, it's very intimidating. It can be. There's an app. It is free. You get a lot of information from it that is free. There is some things that you can either watch a video for, or you do just have to straight up subscribe to them. But it is called Astro Matrix. It's in the Apple Store and the Android Store, or Google Play Store. It's free. Download it. And what it basically does is, for all the people out there who have always wanted like a more personalized horoscope, like daily horoscope, like way more in depth, this is the app. And basically what this app does is, the only thing you will actually need to know, and one of these is kind of an iffy, but it's better to know both. The date of birth, your date time, or 3 things: your date, time, the exact time you were born, and the city you were born in. You can do it without the exact time, but the better, if you can possibly, I would get the time. And the reason that is, and what this will do, is the app helps you create or shows you and puts together your birth chart and or natal chart. What that is basically a screenshot of the universe, or our solar system, at the exact moment you came into this world. And due to that, you can predict stuff about your life, you can put connections together, there's so much stuff it will help you with. But this app helps not only break all of it down to where anybody can understand it, or learn to understand it, but it also it gives you specific things, like there's a daily quote, there's a daily tarot card, there's a daily number, there's like 4 or 5 other daily things, and then it also gives you hourly updates of what planet goes where. So if a planet moves into your first house, then, it gives you tips on what to do, what not to do, like right now for everybody, not just the people on the chart. I should have wrote this down. I think it's Neptune. One of the planets that have just, like, shifted into a new house. Basically, until December the 12th, basically the full moon, if anybody drinks, or if anybody partakes in marijuana, then basically watch it. And the reason that is because for some reason the effects of those, and just not those, just regular medication too, they can affect you more during this particular area than per se a week ago. And it's very true. It's very true. Like, it definitely affects you. Also with that, if I seem all over the place or jumpy or anything like that, it's how my brain works. I can't help that. I have ADD, but I'm using it to my best abilities. So yeah. Now, with all of that being said, with these and these videos, I am in the process of actually putting together a kind of, not a program, but an actual, like, guideline thing. But I originally started practicing Wiccan. I've been practicing for 16 years now, but I started off Wiccan, and now I am just a witch. I do not follow any path. I do not worship the gods and goddesses, but I do commune with them. I primarily, which is still new to me, I just started it at the beginning of this year, or kind of middle last, the end of last year throughout this year, which is I started working more with my ancestors. Now, when I state I've been working more with my ancestors, no, I do not have proof that any of my ancestors were practicing witches or psychics or mediums or anything like that. They don't have to be. They can be completely normal. They can be Christian, anything. What I mean by, well, for me, since I actually do practice magic, like I actually do magic with my ancestors, but if you don't feel like that and you just want to find a way to honor your ancestors, then get a picture frame, get a candle. It can be a fake candle, and just one of the podcasts that I listen to, I got the idea to listen or to get a digital picture frame and basically get as many pictures of your ancestors or your past loved ones as you can and put in there and just hit it on cycle and repeat. That way it'll go over and over and over again. And what this will do is, if you do it, like say if you do have a candle there, real or fake, turn it on or light it regularly every single day that you're home. And what that was and what it will do is basically it shows your ancestors on the other side that they are still being honored. They are still being remembered by lighting that candle. And if you do this repeatedly, again, check it out. Check my YouTube page out, Fire Lotus the Witch, because I have a video on there called the 30-Day Spiritual Challenge, and it's basically developing ways to communicate with your past loved ones and not necessarily in the psychic medium way. With that also being stated, we're all psychics. We all have gifts. Everybody does. Anybody can do magic. Anybody can predict the future. It's just honing in, practicing, and for one, realizing that you can do this. And most of the stuff that a lot of people were taught, or especially what I was taught growing up, it's just bullshit. It's just another way for us to be oppressed from our natural rhythm of the natural way. I'll leave it at that. Now, with that being stated, I am going to start talking about... No, wait. Last thing I have to throw out there. If you are following, I'm also doing a 30-day tarot spread challenge. I have a board on Pinterest that I've also been posting here, which I think I still have to because I don't think I did yesterday. I will be posting them on here, and basically, if you do have a Pinterest, follow that board, and I update it every day around 12 to 1 o'clock, sometimes a little bit later. But, yeah, and the point of this is, for one, I personally want to work with my deck more. I learn more. Blah, blah, blah. I can't talk. I love working with my deck. And through these, not only do you build a relationship with your deck, but the particular spreads that I'm picking, you will learn more about yourself. You'll learn more about your shadow self. You'll learn about your guides that you do have, even if you haven't realized they're there. There's one to talk with the ancestors, and it's called the Whisper of the Ancestors. So far, it's one of the top ones that we've done so far with the spread. Now, with these, you don't really have to post them. If you want to, post it. Use the hashtag 30-day tarot challenge. But if not, that's perfectly fine. Just let me know. I love getting feedback from the people that do these. Now, with all of my lives, there are plenty of videos that I have up already to where I show you small things that you can do if you are completely new to all of this and you don't know where to start or what to do. I've already voiced certain ways and small little things that you can do, but you can get a very big reaction from them. Mainly candle spells. Candle spells are always a go-to. Candle magic, I love candle magic. But let's get this through. Let's talk about curses. Now, most people, it's a 50-50 kind of, and with this newer generation of witches, I would say it's more kind of on the table. But, for one, true magic is nor black nor white. I'm sorry. Nature's both loving and cruel. Yeah, I know, I just quoted The Craft, the movie, but it's so true. That's like one of the most truest things. And it is, because with me, have I hexed or have I cursed in ways? Yes, I have. Don't judge me. But there are a few things that I do have to talk about before I really get into this. For one, I would not suggest just getting pissed off and going around and just cursing every fucking body you see. Because, here are some of the things. For one, if you believe in karma or if you don't believe in karma, some way, shape, or form, it will affect you. Due to the fact, anything you do magically, it's going to affect you. Even if that's a positive way or a negative way, it's going to zap your energy. You can get sick. You can get a headache. You can get, it's basically like the psychic flu or like the witch's flu. And it's just where you're so in tune due to the fact that witches are spiritual people. We're more in tune with the world around us. So, when certain planets, or sometimes during the full moon, if we have a major full moon, and there's a symptom, or, it happens sometimes where literally it's like you get the flu, and it only lasts like 1 or 2 days, but you can't do magic, you can barely freaking function. And it's not that you're actually sick, but it's more of like a spiritual cold. But that is because magic, it's either transferring your energy, or it's manipulating the energy around you, or actually in both. And asterisk to that, it's technically both. It's a mixture of manipulating your energy and exchanging your energy with manipulating the energy around you to get a desired result. But with hexes and curses, okay, for one, there are different types. So many different types. There are small things. Technically, me going up to someone and flicking them off would be a curse. You can hex people and curse people without even knowing you're doing it. Just wishing harm on somebody in that moment of being angry or upset or in the motion, that itself can actually, legit become something. Now, with that, so before we actually get into when is a time, what is your line? There has to be a line that you always need to draw before you actually cross that. But before that, it also goes into when it comes to curses, and I myself, I struggle with this, so I guess in my head, it depends on the type of spell and or curse and or charm or anything. But for one, if you have, say you think you're cursed, for one, that in itself can create a curse. And that's what I mean by I struggle with this too, because I honestly believe that a lot of curses, or in a way, see, it's because, say voodoo, for example, voodoo or hoodoo, there are certain types of magic that I believe you do not have to believe in them to affect you. And then, on the other hand, or the other aspect of that, I also believe that there are certain types of magic to where the only way they'll actually affect you is if you believe them, or believe it will affect you. But that leads me into the actual confusion and almost paradox of this, which is, if I come up to you and say, oh, I just hexed you, after that encounter, that one encounter, depending on how your brain works, every single small, mundane thing that happens to every one of us every other day, those small little hiccups throughout life that we would consider a string of bad luck, you would automatically start associating those small things with that encounter of me telling you I hexed you. So, and in reality, I never did. I just came up to you and, for some reason, I just looked at you and you're like, I hexed you last night, right? All I did, though, is technically plant a seed. And you yourself, by connecting all the negativity to this curse, actually in on itself creates you to be cursed. So in a way, curses can be, honestly, it's like cursing yourself accidentally, I guess. It all has to do with the intent, yes. But, and the reason I brought this up is because if you think you're being cursed, for one, I would definitely get some type of outsider opinion. Somebody you trust, of course, but an outside opinion. And that's just because sometimes we need to take ourselves out of the equation to actually view it from a third party to truly understand it. And, like, with that, there are proper steps that you can go through about, like, removing curses. There are crystals that can help. There are all loads of stuff. But, now, speaking on the actual curse, now let's get into it. And, like, different types and stuff like that. For one, if you decide that fits with you, depending if you go by the threefold law, harm none, do what you will. But if you don't follow that, like me, for example, I believe that it's. I know I keep quoting this movie, and a lot of people will a lot of people hate or some witches hate when you actually quote a movie, a fictional movie. But it's true. In the craft, it's very, very true that nature is loving and cruel. So what I mean by that is, if my family is in danger, if my friends are in danger, or if I specifically know another witch or another practitioner has specifically done something to bring ill, harm, or intent on this person, then that's when you have to ask yourself, for one, should you do this? Because once you do a curse, depending on the changes, like I've stated before, there is going to be a ripple effect. With any magic you do, there's going to be a ripple effect. And if you don't understand what I mean by ripple effect, literally throwing a rock in a lake. That first initial impact, but there are still waves that go on all, it goes to the entire length of the lake until it's just kind of flattened out. With every spell that you do, always remember that. Especially in love magic, which that's going to be a whole nother story, but in love magic it's the same way. But with all spells, it is very crucial to know, yes, there are ways of kind of slowing them down or kind of almost stopping them, but in itself, you are releasing energy. You are releasing, and especially if you casted a circle and actually built that energy and raised that energy, and then all of a sudden when you cut that circle open, it just explodes out into the universe. It's not like you can just, hit the repeat button or hit the rewind button and just bring that all in. It doesn't really work that way. So with that, you have to, and for one, when you think of a curse, you could do a small curse, to bring somebody a week of bad luck. But if you don't if you yourself haven't seen your true potential or realized your true potential, what you think could be a very small spell could actually turn into be something very, very dangerous. Now, let's see. I did make some notes. Okay, boom, boom, boom. Okay, there we go. Now, I did learn something new, actually, this morning, right before I jumped on here. And the books that I have, that I've shown before, the Encyclopedia of 5,000 Spells, the ultimate reference book for magical arts, Cicada Illis, I butchered that name, I'm sorry. But, this book is a really good book, and it has an entire section on hexes and their antidotes. Yes, there are antidotes to almost every hex. This is also a very crucial point of the reason that I always say, no matter what magic you practice, you need to do your research in the dark arts, or in more darker stuff. And the reason I state that is because, specifically that one word, honestly, antidote. The reason I mean this, especially with correspondences, and this is the reason that I say, you know, if you want to learn anything that'll take you farther in the craft than anything, correspondences. And the reason that I state that is because if you understand the correspondences, in other words, say somebody did hex you and you found a hex jar, right? And it wasn't mixed well or something like that, but you could basically tell almost all the ingredients is in there. True enough, you'll never truly know what the person's intent was while adding these ingredients, but if you understand the basic darker properties of using these correspondences or these herbs and their darker correspondences, then you can technically also find crystals and herbs to counteract that reaction. And that in itself is not really cursing as much as it's defensive magic, it's protective magic. But when it comes to curses, there are different types. There's powders, there's oils, there's this is more hoodoo voodoo. There's hot foot powder. There's vinegar jars. There's what I recently learned this year, hurricane water. Yep, that's right, people. You heard it right. Hurricane water. You can not only collecting rainwater, but if you can collect rainwater from a hurricane, you can use this in multiple ways. I personally used it I used some in a cleansing bath. And that was the most powerful cleansing bath I've ever took in my entire life. Like, no lie. Wow. Like, you could feel the energy in the water. And basically, if you were to use it like that, you would basically put your herbs and everything and whatnot in, and then basically you would, well, imagine a hurricane, just like, you know, just washing all of that stuff off you and going it down the drain. Now, if you wanted to fuck somebody's life, or not really fuck somebody's life over, but kind of shake their life up, there are two things that you can do with this. There's the vinegar one, and there's the rainwater one. Or you could mix them. I wouldn't suggest mixing them unless you know what you're doing. But, hurricane water, you can literally write somebody's name, get a picture of them, and put it in the jar, and just shake it up repeatedly. And that will... that will send ripple effects throughout their entire lives. There's also vinegar jar, which is basically just getting apple cider vinegar. You can get white vinegar too. But I've realized a lot of people prefer apple cider vinegar. But you literally get picture, name, something of them that hones in. And that also leads me to another thing that I'm about to talk about, which I learned the actual term to it, which is called tag lock. I did not even know this was a thing. Or, well, I knew it was a thing, I just didn't know the name to the thing. And the reason that I say you need a picture and stuff like that is because, for one, if you, say you were going to hex somebody, almost every hex, depending on, unless you have to, like, leave something at their house, but a hex jar, a mojo bag, or anything like that, you need what is called a tag lock. And basically what that tag lock is basically it's a target. It puts a direct target on their energy because you have something that possesses their energy. So that way the spell that you're doing and or the curse that you're doing specifically goes to that person. And basically what that is what you would use in almost any spell to either help somebody or to hurt somebody. Or basically what you would use, one of the prime ingredients is that you would use in any spell for somebody else, which is a personal belonging. Now, you don't have to have something of theirs, but if at any point you can, hair, this is kind of going to get a little weird. And I'm not saying I've done any of this, but I'm just saying the stuff you can use. Hair, nail clippings, if you can get, like, a tissue they used, now, a picture of them can perfectly work, too. Their name on a piece of paper can perfectly work, too. If you can get anything that they use or they have touched multiple times, you know, not something that's like part of the household, but something like a keychain or something that they possess on them at almost every point in time. And basically you use that in that spell or in that jar or in whatever you're doing to hone in and specifically pinpoint that energy to the person you're trying to. If not, or say you were trying to do a hex or a curse and you were not in the right emotional mind state, your mind was racing and you couldn't focus on what you were trying to do, that can lead to an issue, because if you actually successfully finished the curse and your head and everything was not where it could be, a random person that popped in your head could actually receive it instead of the person you were intending it to, or it could backfire on you completely. But something that this book specifically told me, which is, if at any point in time you were doing a curse, even if you were in the middle of it, and you get some of the oil, some of the powder, primarily oil and or powder, but if you get that on you, that, like, these oils that I'm talking about are for, like, banishing and hexing and cursing, you need to stop what you're doing right then and go cleanse yourself. Wash it off and actually cleanse yourself. Use a spray. Here in this book, it actually states using, like, rosemary oil. Diluted, of course. Like, don't just go pouring oil all over your body. Which I'm hoping, if you do any type of curse or hex, you will do your research on those ingredients. Because a lot of hexes and a lot of curses, they do require herbs, or they can require herbs that are toxic and can be toxic, and it can make you really sick if you don't handle them properly. So do your research on there, on that. But with these hexes now, there's also something that I learned about not too long ago, actually, which is, well, no, I have known about this. I've known about this. I want to say since I was about 18. And they're known as karma spells. Now, this is very controversial, because some people say that this is not a thing. Other people say that it just doesn't work that way. But what I mean by that, and what a karma spell is if you were actually planning on breaking up a relationship, doing something negative towards somebody, I would say 2 weeks, like, prior to that, do as much good karma as possible. Heal a lot of people, bless a lot of people, let a lot of people, help a lot of people get jobs. Hold that thought with the jobs. Hold jobs in your mind, because I'm about to say something that some people never put together before that's controversial, but it's still very interesting. But do as much good as you can before that. That way, depending on, and now with me stating that, there is a difference between bindings and cursings and hexes. All of that is. Honestly, it also depends on what path you follow, because I know there's an actual path that uses the term hexing just as a witch would use using magic, or a conjurer would use conjuring. So, like, be very specific. But the reason that I said that is because you can do bindings on people if it is to say you believe somebody has cursed you. You can do a binding on them, and the reason a lot of people, and with me, I'm controversial about bindings, and I will explain why, but they do work. They're just very tricky. And what I mean by that is, say you were trying to, say there's somebody in your life that is violent, and you don't have the necessities to actually get them out of your life. And you don't want to, like, hot foot powder would be my go-to, but I'll talk a little bit about hot foot powder, what I know about it too, and how it can be extremely dangerous using it. But if you go to bind somebody, and say you're binding them to prevent them from harming someone, and say they stumble upon that binding, or somebody else stumbles upon it, and they become unbound, that can be extremely explosive. It can be extremely toxic. It can be extremely dangerous. Speaking from personal experience, I thought I knew what I was doing. Well, I knew what I was doing. Apparently I needed a better hiding spot. But anyways, I did a binding, one of my very first ones, and it worked until the person that I bound found the binding and unbound it, and Needless to say, he went away for a while. So, yeah. With bindings, I myself, I will not, like, I'll do anything. Well, I won't do a hex. I don't. See, now, before I really get into this, a lot of the stuff that I will say or I will talk about on here, a week from now, I could go back and say it's completely different. But, for one, that's spirituality, that's growth. The other thing is, when I say this, and always the reason that I'm slightly controversial on it, is because what that means is basically there are still aspects of me that are fighting on this. Hexes, curses, bindings, they all fit into that. Because there are types of bindings or blockings or wardings. If you're not comfortable doing a binding, do a blocking and a warding spell or a send back spell. And to simplify that, for the people that don't know what a send back spell is, it's basically, you know, the saying that we all used to say when you're younger, I am rubber, you are glue, whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you. Basically, that in itself is technically a spell, because that's what a warding spell is. It's basically, or a send back spell, is basically that. Whatever anybody has, like, the energy they have sent you, it's a reflection to where it gets sent back to them. And that's basically what a send back spell is. I actually recently learned a new spell, because I have a herb that I haven't used in a while, or, not that I haven't used it in a while, it's the fact that, sorry, I had to check something, but it was an herb that was given to me, technically an herbal powder, but I'd never heard of it, and, yeah, I learned a really cool new thing with it, I might as well show this book. With this book. This book is a lifesaver, y'all. Very interesting things. So, anyways, let's get back to this. So, the reason that I stated job thing, like the whole making sure that with the jobs, did you know that technically job spells are technically, some people consider them to be hexes? And the reason that is because, think about this, you are using a manner of using magic to manipulate the business and or person that you were trying to get the job with. Even if you were to tip for all you people that are trying to find jobs that are witches out there, remember, you don't always have to use ink when making sigils. Now, what I mean by that is, on every job application, find the right crystal that you resonate with or that has the purpose for it, and make a sigil to make it basically put a glamour on the piece of paper to make it to where your application stands out above all the other ones. There's also a thing as a handshake. When you shake someone's hand for the very first time during a job interview, at that exact moment you were shaking those hands, send them power thoughts. And what that is basically when you connect and you're shaking it, basically repeat in your head, I am the employee you were looking for. I am the employee you were looking for. And it will work over time. But doing stuff like this, depending on your path and depending on your ethics, basically, behind curses, spells, and magic, a lot of people consider that type of magic, it falls under the guidelines of kind of hexing and cursing, because it's manipulating magic, or it's using magic to manipulate a situation or a person. And you're like, well, you're probably thinking, well, wait, that's all magic. Magic is literally manipulating the energy around you to get what you want, or to get things to go a certain way. But with that being stated, the reason that it falls under that is because you're taking away, you know, basically you're stealing a job from somebody else, or you're enhancing your abilities. It would be like using steroids in racing or in sports. How they see it as like like an edge, it's like almost cheating. It's basically like that. Now, do I believe that? Fuck no. Because we're about to be in 2020 now. Anybody can Google fucking job spell. I'm sorry. Like, if we were still back in, like, early 2000s, before the freaking internet became what it is, then I would, you know, come talk to me then. But now, I'm sorry. Now, I did want to state this. This is slightly... Wait, let me make sure I went over everything in the curses. I think I did. I'll probably throw some more stuff in there. But, I saw this ad, or not this ad, this, article, and I actually read it, that was posted. And I may get some negative feedback from about what I'm about to say, but I have to say this. It stated that due to millennial females, and a small portion of guys are changing traditional witchcraft. And I'm thinking in my head, wait. For one, and I even commented on it, I don't think it came back anything, and I'm not trying to start anything, but that in itself that is the second misleading article. Which the first one that I'm talking about, that I talked about in another video, it wasn't supposed to be like a positive thing. This particular one was supposed to be a positive thing, but is it just me, or the people that do see this, please let me know this, is it just me, or almost every single article that you read online about, you know, one of these new witches, I don't want to say that. The main profile that they use in this particular article that I'm talking about. Now, for one, I'm not throwing any shade because I do not know the person that I'm about to say. And I'm not actually going to state their name or anything like that. But the profile itself, it looked like just the aesthetic Instagram one. In other words, all the photos were same color, same scene, like... You know how, like, you click on a profile and everything is just perfect and aesthetically pleasing? That's basically what it was. And the reason that I don't like this, or not the fact that I don't like this, but it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, I guess, was because hundreds upon thousands of people are going to see this article, and the people that are extremely new to the craft, they're going to see that and think that is what you have to be a witch. And I'm just like, don't get me wrong, I follow plenty of people that do have that aesthetic pleasing profile, but with everything that they post, or the majority of all of their posts, they have actual researched knowledge on what in the photo or something like that. That, and most of the ones that I'm particularly talking about, they're practicing witches, but they also have a business. And most of their photos involving the stuff that they do, their art, their work, a lot of it does have magic and magic ties and correspondences and all of that. So there's that, but it's driving me crazy that, you know, I understand, I love the fact that, you know, we're having another huge movement in the pagan and new age spirituality and stuff like that. I get it. But I'm sorry, going to Spencer's or Hot Topic, wearing pentagrams, and wearing all these magical symbols, and having a black hat, and doing a moon right here, just to take a just to take a social media post, that does not make you a witch. If you go and get a book and buy a crystal, and then come home and state you're a witch, and a lot of people are disagreeing with me when I'm about to say, that does not make you a witch. Okay? Now, what I mean by that is, I love the fact that I can wear pentagrams now, and it's the fucking norm. It's like dyeing hair. I still remember the time and age where, like, having colored hair was not normal. Like, it made you alternative. It made you an outsider. And then wearing a pentagram... Now, I grew up in the South, so wearing a pentagram even nowadays, depending on where you're at in Alabama, no. But now it's become social norm, honestly. Witchcraft itself has become the social norm due to pop culture and all the TV shows and all the movies and stuff like that. And that's great. It's totally great. But for all the witches out there, for all the practitioners, for all the authors, for all the YouTubers, if you have a microphone. What I mean by that, if you have a platform to actually talk about stuff, please just think about everything you say. What I mean by that is, you can say whatever you want, but if it comes to historical accuracy, if it comes to using sigils and all types of older stuff that nowadays it's printed on almost any fabric clothing you can get your hands on, do your research. Do your research. Like, for example, the show Supernatural. Of course, their main symbol for that show is a pentagram. The thing that I disagree with is you have people that know nothing of true magic, that don't even really bother to want to know, but you have them going around binding a pentagram on them. And yes, I do mean that. And what I mean by binding, if you get any magical or honestly any type of symbol tattooed on you, that is technically binding that symbol to your flesh, to your soul. I've been practicing the craft for 16 years now, and I still have not went out and got a pentagram tattooed on me. Does that mean I'm not a witch? Hell no. But that also means that I know that I'm not spiritually ready yet. I do have a couple of tattoos that will be in the works, and what I mean by that is, just, if you are going to get any magical symbol tattooed on you, even if it is for an aesthetic look, if you want to wear a pentagram for the aesthetic look, at least do your research to make sure when somebody does come up, and trust me, they will, because either A, they're gonna think you're a Satan worshiper, B, it's another witch who's going to think you are a practitioner, or you're just gonna have a curious person come up and ask what that means. For the love of God, please make sure you are educated. I have been in the presence of someone who was wearing a pentagram. Somebody came up and asked what it was, and they're like, oh, it's the Star of Davis. No, the fuck it's not. It's the... No. It's the... No. So, if you're going to, get the leggings with all the runes and all the other magical symbols on it, please know what you're putting on your body. This is true. This is very true. It's just, like, I love it, but at the same time, I guess I'm just not used to witchcraft and, like, magic and everything being so mainstream. And, like, this particular Halloween, I'm not even gonna lie, like, a lot of companies pissed me off just because of the fact they were piping and hyping everything up, because I'm 26, I'll be 27 next year. This is the first year that I've ever experienced Halloween where it literally felt like Halloween was an actual month long. For the first time, it was so weird. And then when Halloween actually got here, it was just like, poof, everything had automatically Thanksgiving and Christmas. And now, like, I am so sick of seeing freaking ads for this, for that, sell here, sell here. This is very true. This is very, very true. It's just, I don't know, like, I'm very proud that we're finally in that stage to where, like, in a way, we've kind of take what being a witch, breaks, but there's still those stereotypes that need to get broke. And I could name a lot of them, but at the same time, I don't necessarily want to, because it may piss people off. And, that may be part of them. But there are some people, for example, I saw an episode... This is true, and actually with that spelling difference, I myself always get that confused. Like, I literally will have to stop sometimes and actually go and look that up. The different spellings behind that. But I was watching an episode of Ghost Adventures. For the people that don't know, which I'm pretty sure almost everyone does, Ghost Adventures is a paranormal show ran by Zach. Probably gonna butcher his last name, but by Zach Baggins. But he went to an actual Satanist. Now, when I mean an actual Satanist, he actually did primarily work with Satan and or darker things. Now, when let me rephrase that. Satan, but not Satan. In other words, he worked with things not as the Christian aspect of Satan, but much older things. In a way, different dimensional things. And yes, I love Zach too. Kind of. He's starting to change, but and that's great because this guy's also a medium, and I'm pretty sure after that episode aired, he got there. And that's great because I understand what I'm about to say. And even what I'm about to say, I myself have a hard time saying it because I feel very judgmental about it. I'm not trying to, but it kind of fits into this category. And what that is it's like he's a Broadway performer. When he goes into this thing, he talks, yes, he is that. He is one of them. A Luciferium. Furiansome. That. But he, and I think, like I stated, because me and my partner were talking about it, and I'm like, I don't like it, but at the same time, I also think that is actually part of that, because if I remembering from what I do know it, that falls under or can be basically ceremonial magic. Basically the theatrical magic, but its purpose is, to be okay. Well, the reason I've seen other people that when they get I don't know if it's when they get on camera but they put themselves in this weird thing and it almost makes them sound like they're living in a book. And that's great because that's them, they're doing their own thing and I understand that, but the reason that slightly kind of gives it rubs me the wrong way sometimes is because it's still carrying forward that stereotype that some people get with being a witch and being a practitioner. Like me, I don't think I fit, besides wearing more than one necklace, don't really fit what most people would consider a witch. Because, I have, for example, this is Celtic. I have 2 Buddha statues. I have a golden angel that during moving, the wings got broke, and I'm using that as a guard. But that also falls in the collectic part of me. But I don't know, there are still some aspects and there are a lot of stereotypes that people and the witch community need to work on. And also with that, which I've already done this before, I've already thrown this state. Now here, if you are fairly new, if you're a sprout and you are looking or if you are following a YouTuber, be very, very careful. Because there are a few YouTubers, what they portray themselves as, I think there's more to it. I'm just going to leave it at that. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm referencing, I'd made a post, which is a snake without a head is still a snake. And then there was another post where I was talking about snake being in the public eye. So yeah, watch yourselves a little bit. That makes true. That does make sense. And it's just so I don't know. I'm in such a weird transition in my life where there are constant, I love it though, do not get me wrong, I love the stage, but there are constant battles, eternal battles in me where there's one part, and I guess that's the spiritual part that has moved up a little bit. It's it'll look at some of the thoughts that I'm having and my own brain's whoa, wait. And it's a constant war, but it's so cool because I'm realizing that for one, the world is a very, very, very confusing place. Yeah. I think I went over the curses. Yeah, I went over cursing and hexing. It's just and I also like I don't want to. Once I realized that, I'll never forget the day I walked in Hot Topic and Spencer's and I saw that they had their own section of which it's not literally, it was the like tumbled stones. Actually, the name Oak, I'm working on something. I want to put it together a little bit more, but um it definitely blew my mind. That article that you sent me, not only did I have a link to it already on my phone because my screensaver said the same saying, but I have an oak tree. It's one oak tree on my property that I've always get my offerings to. And what's insane was I would always knock on it. Before I give my offering, as I'm giving it, I'll knock 3 times. I'll kind of connect with it, and then I'll give my offering, and then I'll knock again as I'm leaving to like kind of say, goodbye. And the very first time I did that, I'll never forget it. And I don't know where it came from, the idea of knocking on it, but like I knocked on it and I touched it, and holy shit, I was connected not just to that tree, but it was like I was connected to like this main tap line. I'm assuming all the other trees around me. And ever since then, I've always been back to that oak tree, and I've always been drawn to oak trees and never understood why. And then, like I stated, I used to draw when I was into drawing, and when I was painting a lot when I was younger. I would always paint these or wooden doors, and then I got obsessed with drawing trees with a door in it, and I never understood why. And reading that article and how doors have been associated with everything, and I was just like, holy shit, mind blown. But I'm working on my spiritual theory of the male aspect of what would be the mother, maiden, crone, the life stages that you go through. I'm working on the male aspect, and oak actually is in it. Oak will be it's technically, it would be the crone stage, but it's the oak because, I'm putting so much stuff together, and literally it's just been in this 2-week span, last week and this week, so much stuff due to you saying oak and the messages you've helped given me. They've like sparked smaller things like behind the scenes, and I'm starting to put more and more connections together, and I'm just like, holy shit. Like, so far, I could not truthfully say that, like, if you were to tell me 10 years ago that I'd grow up to be a witch, or say 15 years ago, I don't know, it's like, I'm starting to make connections that my entire life so far, like, there are so many connections to magic and how I'm always in tuned and drawn into it. So, like, it's definitely helped with my self-conscious and my belief in my own magic. And actually, I saw a post the other day that it was the first time, and it was like, I unblock all the spells or all the magic that is put on me to. Basically, it's you unblock all the magic or undo all the magic that's done to you to where, or that has made you blind to your own magic. And I was like, wait, holy shit, that is so true. Like, there have been there are plenty of moments, and now that's actually happened, still not going to go into detail, but last month I helped something. I did a blessing, and the blessing worked in a way that I never even thought it would ever do it. It was like a 1 and 2% chance of this happening, and it actually happened. And like I told my partner and like 2 of my friends, and they're like, they always say the same thing. It's like, yeah, I knew this. It's almost like I'm very blinded to some of my magic because like I don't see what everybody else sees. I'm getting there. I'm totally getting there, but Okay, so I'm going to break one of my cardinal rules really quick, and then I'm going to go over this oracle card. But yes, next year, I have so many new ideas and new things that are in the works. One of those will be once I get my GoPro to connect right, I will be able to, because on my YouTube, where I am right now, I can't do, the only way I can go live is I have to be on a desktop. But with Instagram, or using YouTube, I get more freedom than I would here on Facebook. And then here on Facebook, it's so stupid they have it this way. The only reason I moved, thank you, I moved to this page was because I was hoping I would have more freedom. And I do, but I still can't schedule any of my morning witches chats live unless I do it from a desktop. Or basically from a computer. It has to be from a computer. Same with YouTube. Right now, due to my following status, basically you have to have 1,000 before you can do lives from your phone. But once I get the webcam to actually work properly, I'll be doing more stuff, and I'll be able to actually schedule these. Now, I did want to throw this out here. A few people have come to me and asked, like, when or can I do PM night chats? I will eventually attempt them, but right now, it's kind of like a goal to myself. I am not going to start doing my live chat. I'm not going to do chats at nighttime until I know for a fact I'm starting to get like a following. Now the reason that is because how my life outside of these work is from 6 a.m. in the morning until technically 5 something in the morning until about 7 o'clock at night. I'm here. I have nothing to distract me besides some chores and stuff like that. But after that, when my partner gets home, I do go on social media randomly, but other than that, it's just kind of us. It's our time. So if I started doing these at nighttime, it would cut that time in half. Or it would just, depending on how the live went, I wouldn't be able to even, basically, it'd be going to sleep and everything. So, but we talked about it. And once my page and my followers get to that point, I will be doing that. But right now, and I'm starting to realize my original plan, which was I don't want to have to promote my stuff, not to the simple fact, well, for one, I don't feel like paying Facebook. For two, financially, I'm not there yet. But, I'm starting to realize that that's one of the only ways that I'm going to be able to, because moments like this where my hotspot is out, my views are lower, and that's just because due to the simple fact of how Facebook's algorithm works, and since I'm not paying them, my posts aren't really being seen. Or even when I post at 6 a.m. in the morning, hey, I'm going live, only 20-something people out of, I think, 102 that's actually following the page actually sees it by then. So there's so much stuff in the works, and I'm manifesting stuff, and it's coming and everything. So yeah, so on that is going to wait. There is going to be a point in time, I was originally against this idea, but once my page gets there, and once my content gets out there, my next step, I will be going to create a Patreon, but all the money that comes from that Patreon will not go to me, it will go strictly to my books. The book list that I have on my Amazon account. And those are books that I need to, it's not necessarily a need, but I want to be able to further my knowledge and my craft. Okay. But yeah, that also goes in with the witch's payment, which is basically, and the reason that I state that they will be going towards the books is because think about it as if you join the Patreon, you're not just, the books are not just mine, but technically I will be sharing them. I will be reading them. When I do start getting new books, there will be some weeks where literally I will be reading directly from those books and going and talking about them as much as possible. So, and then eventually along down the road, which I got to talk to a few people, but I will be adding herbs there. Basically anything and everything that can help me advance my craft. And then next year, for everybody who has been with me since October, my OGs, my originals, all the stuff that I previewed before with the magical tools that I've been making and been working on. Trust me, I will be still planning the giveaway that I will be doing, and it will be a big giveaway. I'm also going to talk to a couple other people. My ultimate plan for the giveaway is I'm actually going to try to talk to a few people on collabing, but I want to be able to get my numbers up more, so more people to see this and these, because as far as I know, to my knowledge, there's not another thing like this out there. Because like I said, if you've been following me for a while, you know that there have been some episodes that literally it's just been on fringe theories and aliens. But that's how this stuff happens. Really quick though, I do have to go over the Oracle card before I forget. Which would be a bad thing. Okay. Today's episode, today's card is the spider, which this is actually a fear that I've had. I'm arachnophobic, big time, but I have actually almost completely conquered this fear, depending on how big they are. But, yes, now, with this, it is spider, community, and web weaving. I love this. For some reason, these cards are kind of starting to, sync up with the messages I display. Like yesterday's card, which there was, for the people that missed yesterday's live, I did have to say that. It will not be on YouTube. There was a glitch yesterday with Facebook. I did not get to save my video, and the video was not originally posted, so, yeah. But the cool thing was the card that I went over yesterday was the exact same message that I'd given out through the entire video. But for the people, I will put it right there. Oh, that didn't work. I'll figure something out. But spider. So, here we go. She spins her silk alone in the dark we hope. In the dark with hope of collection, sticky with dreams, weaving the world a wide web of connections. Mass of sticky spider webs make any Halloween decoration complete. The idea of a haunted house covered in the artwork of a big hairy spider is a classic horror. Even those of us who appreciate our eight-legged friends still hurriedly brush those steadily webs if we run into them in the dark. Although most spiders are not venomous, humans have an infinite fear of them. Perhaps it's the fangs or the poison. For me, it was the poison. Perhaps it's all those legs, also that, creepy feeling, all those legs and the way they move. Perhaps it's where they lived, often in dark, hidden places, or the way our Western pop culture has demonized them by making them giant, fierce, and man-eating. Some cultures, though, revere the spider in a very positive way. In many Native American traditions, for example, the spider is the creator that gives birth to all animals and the substance to the web of life. The goddess spider grandmother, and there is also a spider woman, is a key deity that brings wisdom, safety, and communication to all of the tribe. She created and woven all the stars in the sky and makes soft webs for those that are troubled to rest upon and be supported by. Spider webs can be seen as a symbol of connection, not necessary entrapment. There is a fine line sometimes between a family or community supporting us and controlling us. This card looks at discriminate. It also suggests you review the way you communicate with the wider community. at work or in general with others and take steps to improve this or do it slightly different. It also indicates that there is a need to be balanced between what you do for yourself and what you do for others. If we give too much to the outside, our strengths diminish and we cannot weave the supporting web for ourselves. That in itself is an amazing message. And the simple fact, for one, communication is key, and especially with all these planets going around, make sure you are communicating correctly. Make sure, well, not correctly, but make sure the communication is getting both sides communicating right. On top of that, make sure you set boundaries when it comes to your family, when it comes to your friends, when it comes to your community, when it comes to your coven, when it comes to your business. Make sure you set boundaries. Remember, and I've said this to so many family members in my life, it's not even funny. You can't take care of everybody else if you don't take care of yourself. If you are a single mom, or if you're a single parent, if you're a single dad, or if you're not and you're just both parents, then you have to rest. Like, especially if you are a single parent. If you are a one parent with multiple kids and you're working and doing everything you can to make sure you have everything, you also do have to rest. Because if you're not, to everybody, honestly, in life, you have to rest. There are mental health days. They don't have to actually be mental, but you do need a health day. You need your self day. Like, if you're not up to par, if you're not healthy, if you're not making sure you're hydrated, your vitamins and stuff like that, and you go down, well, you can't take care of anybody because you're not taking care of yourself. So sometimes we do have to be a little selfish in that. But set boundaries. Try to find that balance. And you'll know it. Once you start setting boundaries, and trust me, this is something that I just learned this year. Technically I learned it last year. But I kind of, with everything that I've been through in my life, I kind of lost my backbone. Like, I was that person where if you needed something, if I could, I would do it, to the point to where I was putting myself out. But I didn't know how to say no. I would always say yes. Yes, 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 yes. I'll do this. I'll help you. Yes, yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then I realized that those people wasn't helping me back. So, yeah. And I found my backbone, and I'm like, you know what? Fuck you. No. Just no. So, yeah. I hope you see this, and if you do come across this, if this comes in your news feed, share it in a group, share it to a page. Sorry. Send it to a friend, email it to a friend. I'm trying to get my name out there, and not to get famous or to get money or anything like that. It's to help people. Y'all don't understand all the positive feedback that are just not necessarily, well, yeah, all positive, but all the feedback, no matter if it's, suggestions on fixing things or anything like that, I love it. It helps me out so much. For me to be able to get a message, especially like if I'm having a hard time, and me to just randomly get a message and stating, hey, so-and-so, the message that you sent out today was just, it rang with me perfectly, and thank you. Or, getting updates on people who's doing the tarot, 30-day tarot challenge with me, how much it's helping them, and how much, these videos and watching them, and all this stuff, like, it's helped me out so much. Because always know, at the end of my videos and the beginning of my videos, I am not here to persuade you. I'm not here to convert you at all. I'm here to educate. I'm here to let people know what I know. I want to help people. And if you can watch my video and you learn at least one thing, whether that be a new information or a new way of looking at things or just anything like that, then I can go to sleep happy, because I know at least one person walked away learning something new. And that means in some way, shape, or form, I changed their life. I helped them. So that's the point of these videos. And honestly, if you've been keeping up with them as well, you'll also know that the calling was being called, and I didn't answer it, and then I kind of just, bam, doing it. So, yes, but I will be going. I kind of went over everything that I possibly can. Now, I might try to go live. Don't quote me on this, but I may try to go live a little bit later today on this page. And for anybody who loves supporting, actually, no, more importantly, for anybody who sees this, if you have a small business of any sorts, you know, unless it's like political or anything like that. But if you make necklaces, if you make jewelry of any kind, if you croquet, if you do any types of arts and craft and sell it, magical or non-magical, please let me know. I am starting a thing in October or this month, starting next week. I want to shout out as many small businesses that I know. I don't care if you're statewide, as long as you have a website, or as long as you have somewhere that like I can give people information to and links to. I would love that. And just know that if I do, or when these are uploaded to YouTube, they will, all the information to your businesses will be on there. So, with that being stated, I hope y'all all have a magical Wednesday morning, noon, night. I don't know your life. I don't know if you're getting in from work, school, home, if you're getting up and leaving, if you're still asleep. Which, if you are still asleep, I'm kind of confused of how you're watching this, but you know what? Whatever. Anyways, without further ado, yeah, I hope y'all all have a magical Wednesday, and I cannot wait to see y'all tomorrow. Peace.